Arun, as you're pointing out, there was a survey that was done and about 10 spots in India were chosen to be surveyed about whether they could host these cheetahs. But it was found that the Kuno National Park was the most conducive, and which is the reason why they're going to be the home to these big cats. And as you're mentioning, they're first going to be released into a quarantine enclosure. This will be about 30 into 50 feet. And after 4 to 6 weeks, they will be released into that larger enclosure. The Kuno National Park is about 750 kilometers in area, so they do have a lot of area to wander around. But it will be very significant, these 4 to 6 weeks, to find out if these cheetahs can acclimatize to India, because it's been about 70 years since India has hosted these big cats. But viewers would like to know that the word cheetah itself comes from a Hindi word. It's called chitta, which means spotted. So cheetahs do definitely have Indian roots, but they have only been missing from here. And PM Modi is going to be very shortly releasing these big cats that have shortly arrived before from all the way from Namibia, and he'll be releasing them into their enclosures. And it's a very significant project because it's the world's first intercontinental translocation of cheetahs, and it has no parallels anywhere. So it is going to be a lot of work for everyone involved in India as well, for the caretakers, for the keepers, and also those who are monitoring those cheetahs very carefully, because it is a matter of pride for our country that these big cats have returned. It's also to mark the 75th year of independence, but the day of the Prime Minister's birthday was chosen because he has been constantly pushing for the diversity of wildlife, and it is part of his vision. Going across to my colleague Arudhanta from more, he joins us from the Kuno National Park. Arun, how soon can we expect the Prime Minister to be landing and releasing these big cats, and what sort of arrangements have been made, and how close will he be to these big cats? What sort of interaction will there be with between the Prime Minister and the cheetahs?
Well, see, the initial information that we have, Shilpa, is that Prime Minister Modi will be opening the gate of that enclosure in which these cheetahs are brought to the country. Now, we'll have to see what exactly happened there on the ground, because of course, you will have a delegation with Prime Minister Modi who will be part of this entire exercise when he will be opening up the gate of that, and cheetahs will be roaming around in that area, that enclosure which has been created for them, to put them there for at least 4 to 6 weeks. And for personally, of course, for Prime Minister Modi, it is going to be a very touching and very best experience when he will be having that close encounter with these cheetahs, which the country has been missing for last 70 years. It was in 1948, people say, when the last cheetah was killed in somewhere in Chhattisgarh. And of course, the reason of diminishing of the cheetahs is the excessive hunting, and also the kind of atmosphere which they needed was missing. The habitat which they require is something which was missing in the country, and that was something, the reason behind this place, Kuno National Park, because when the teams came to India, they visited different spots in the country, but they did not find appropriate place for cheetahs relocation or reintroduction in the country. It was only Kuno National Park.
I request you to stay with us. I request you to stay with us because we're also joined by Joseph Hoover, who's a former Wildlife Board member of Karnataka. Very good morning to you, sir. How do you view the relocation of these? All right, this is Jyotiraditya Scindia. He is the aviation minister, and he has personally accompanied those cheetahs all the way to the Kuno Park. And in fact, he has just landed there, and those are the visuals there on your screen. This, of course, to commemorate the Prime Minister's 72nd birthday. And these cheetahs also having a return that's very close to that date. Going across to Mr. Joseph Hoover, who I just introduced. He is a former wildlife board member of Karnataka. Very good morning to you, sir.
Morning,
These cheetahs have traveled over 8,400 kilometers. They have been relocated. It's a world's first intercontinental relocation of this kind. How do you view it, and how do you think these cheetahs can acclimatize to our weather here currently?
Yeah, first of all, I would appreciate the government for taking this initiative. Though there are a lot of negativity saying these cheetahs may not survive, that is okay. An effort has been made, and now 8 cheetahs are brought in. So they're hoping to, breed and populate them and take them across to other parts of India whereas the habitat suits them, grasslands. So you look at it, now the cheetahs have arrived. Now they need to be acclimatized. They need to be put in certain conditions where they can adjust. And slowly they'll be released into the forest areas, open areas. So there's a process involved in that. Obviously, the government and the WIA or all other experts have been involved in this process. They've taken the chance. So let us hope it's going to be successful, because we have lost our cheetahs in the 40s. But again, having said this, where I look at it is, see, now we are bringing cheetahs from Africa to populate them here. But unless we protect their habitat, how are we going to ensure that they're going to breed? How are they going to be, from there they'll take them to other areas? How is it possible? So important now for the government is, having taken this big task of reintroducing cheetahs in India, they need to ensure that all habitats are intact. So that is a big challenge for the government right now, the way I look at it.
Absolutely, because we do see wildlife trying to reclaim their habitat, and that also leads to some problems in many parts of the country. But are cheetahs indigenous to India? Because the word cheetah itself comes from a Hindi word, chitta, I found out. So they must have been, very populous in the country. So what led to their extinction, sir?
That's precisely. It's all anthropogenic. It's all human for all the benefits for humans. We don't look at the entire thing, what every species is part of our ecosystem. So we are not looking at that. So we are only looking at what benefits us. In that process, we have destroyed everything. And what happens to cheetah in the early 40s, 1940s? So this is the same process which is happening now. We are destroying habitat, where if you look at even tiger habitats are being destroyed for linear projects or all kind of projects of development. So how long are we going to be selfish? If we want the cheetahs to survive, we also have to ensure that all other species also survive. So the habitats have to be protected without any compromise. We cannot have mining. We cannot have hydroelectric projects right in the heart of these habitats. So this is something the government needs to look at it. Celebrating reintroduction of cheetahs is not what it should end at. We should celebrate what we have. We should enjoy every bit of our biodiversity. And tigers are our flagship species. By protecting that, we are protecting the entire ecosystem, the entire species, everything. So now when the cheetah has been introduced, it's a responsibility of the government to ensure all habitats are kept intact. Let's leave all the selfishness of saying human development for our prosperity, for our GDP. If you don't have ecological sustenance, we are all getting doomed very close, very close. We are already 1 foot in the grave now. So this is a serious thing now that the government should take this challenge and say, okay, enough is done. What we have, let's sustain with that. You look at other countries, they have completely stopped deforestation. They've completely stopped. They're saying, no, we need this for our own good, for our future generation. By bringing the cheetah, this is a next level to say that protect its habitats and all other habitats around that. That will be what we hope for, and we hope our country does well and these cheetahs also populate well.
Yes, sir. In our bid for development, because we are a developing country, we have definitely encroached upon green covers, as many countries across the world have done. And now they've, decided to stop doing that. They've all pledged, and hopefully India can also take steps in that direction with the reintroduction of these big cats. As you're saying, it's very important and it's symbiotic. The fact that we need to also not just increase the habitat, but also give back what is rightfully theirs. But how do you view the expansion of wildlife diversity in India? Now, it's been 70 years, so our climate has changed over these years. Do you think our present climate is more conducive for these big cats, or is it very difficult to say theoretically until they actually come and, and we try and see whether it is possible for them to make the country their home?
See, what people need to understand is these are hardy species. These come from the savanna grasslands, or the bushveld we call, as in Africa, most of Africa. These are all hardy cheetahs. These can survive if you give them the right environment and you give the protection and ensure there is no poaching of prey species. We can definitely look at it, and it's not difficult for cheetahs to adapt, because we have an history of saying we had cheetahs in the past, right? So there's nothing wrong in saying that we could bring in these cheetahs and we could repopulate them. It's not difficult at all. Cheetahs can survive as long as the entire ecosystem around that is also protected. You will have to ensure there is no deforestation, there is no mining activity there, no linear projects in and around that area, that there should be zero poaching. Everything should be watertight. Only then we can say, yes, our cheetahs will survive and cheetahs can populate, and we can take them across to other habitats which are suitable for its existence. So this is something our Prime Minister, now that he's celebrating his birthday, we appeal to him, humbly appeal to him, sir, kindly look at all other species as ours. We all live along with them. They're part of our ecosystem. We are part of their ecosystem. We need to coexist. So enough has been done for development. Human-centric is just destroying us. Today we are in the crisis of, we all are talking about global crisis, climate crisis, and we are seeing extreme weathers.
Absolutely.
One side we are seeing extreme rains, extreme heat, there's drought, there's flood, there's landslide, there's suffering. People are suffering, the nature, all our animals, species is suffering. So somewhere we need to take a call and say enough is enough. Let's stop at that and see what we can live with, along with coexist with these beautiful species that God has given us.
Sir, but I don't think it's all doom and gloom, because there is increasing awareness as well. And especially the next generation is looking at the fact that it is not sustainable to grow at this rate, where we are encroaching upon the habitats of these species, because, we are taking away their homes. How do you view the increasing awareness? And also we were talking about the other species, the other big cats. What is the status of these big cats in the country currently?
See, thanks to this climate crisis and the pandemic that we had, people are becoming more and more conscious. They are understanding it, because of destruction of biodiversity, we are all being impacted. So it's good. But the involvement has to be at a different level. There has to be advocacy. There has to be activism. We need to communicate with the government, especially the central government, to say that enough is enough. We need to take this forward. And until the youth are involved, it is impossible, because we have been doing this for the last 30 years. Only now in the last 2 years we are seeing people reacting. Otherwise we talk to them saying that let's protect the forest. People just sit back and say, my house. To protect your forest and your ecosystem.